Part 12. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao Bai Sheng Wu. Chapter 113. Chapter 113 Su Qing's Plan. Please ask for a monthly ticket to automatically subscribe. Zhao Jing has been in a complicated mood recently because he has reached an agreement with Station B about the broadcast of the Book of Life and Death drama. The day before yesterday, Su Xian'er called Chen Rui and asked him to talk to him. Zhao Jing and Chen Rui then made an appointment to meet in a coffee shop. Chen Rui made it clear that simultaneous broadcasting was impossible. His biggest concession was that Tencent animation could only be played 1 hour after the first broadcast on Station B, otherwise, he would not compromise. Chen Rui also said that this was the biggest concession and there was no room for further negotiations, because it was for the sake of teacher Miaobi that Station B made such a decision. Otherwise, the copyright for the series Book of Life and Death will definitely be in the hands of Station B itself and will never be handed over to other websites. Although Zhao Jing was filled with hatred, he had no choice but to compromise in the end. So he has been in a very complicated mood recently. He has been regretting that he would have discussed the drama copyright with Su Xian'er earlier. Now he always feels like he has made a wedding dress for Station B. And just when he was thinking about how to use the Book of Life and Death drama to expand Act Circle again, Lu Yang called. Editor-in-Chief Su Qing and Editor-in-Chief Yu Zhong of Yuan Group came to visit. Zhao Jing was stunned for a moment and said, "Ask them to wait for me in the reception room." Yu Zhong and he had known each other since childhood, so there was no need to go to a serious occasion like the reception room, but since even the other party's editor-in-chief was here, they naturally couldn't discuss it in his office. After tidying up his clothes, Zhao Jing calmed down his expression and then walked towards the reception room. When Zhao Jing entered the reception room, he saw Su Qing and Yu Zhong, and couldn't help but smile and exchange greetings with each other. The two sat face to face. Although Zhao Jing was curious, he did not speak first. He expected that the other party must have something important to ask him when he came in person, so it would be the other party begging him, not him. And Yu Zhong also came over. After thinking about it, his heart moved. Sure enough, after the two chatted for a few words, Su Qing couldn't help it anymore and smiled slightly. "I came here to visit because I actually have something to talk about." "Is it about the cover and illustrations of the Demon King's contract?" Before, Zhao Jing saw that the other party couldn't bear it anymore, so he also tested it. That's right. Su Qing couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief when he saw that the other party didn't make excuses with him. He was afraid that there was going to be a showdown on his side. Due to the cover and illustrations, the book The Demon King's Contract achieved Bayman's achievement in half a day yesterday. And Chief Editor Zhao, you may also know the situation of Kidian's light novel channel. A light novel appeared in Bayman. What does it mean? I know, of course I know. Zhao Jing knows it too well. This is similar to the impact caused by the Su Xian series when it came out, or in other words, the impact caused by the Demon King's Contract is even greater. In just half a day, Zhao Jing could see through the reason why he could reach 100 alliances in just half a day, regardless of the quality of the novel, just how much the cover and illustrations took up. You must know that as soon as this exquisite and voluptuous two-dimensional beautiful girl painting style appeared on the cover of the cookie-cutter Kidian novel, his perception and thinking of people had an explosive impact. This was the same as when he first. I feel the same when I see the painting style of Su Xian series. Amazing, shocked, unbelievable. As a comic editor, when he saw a new style of painting from Su Xian'er for the first time, he could tell at a glance that this book The Demon King's Contract would become a hit with this illustration. As for whether it can continue to be popular, it depends on the quality of the novel. After all, although the illustrations of the light novel are the top priority, the written plot of the novel itself is the main theme. And now Zhao Jing has determined that the reason why Su Qing came to him was the illustration. Thinking about this, he said calmly, it is indeed an honor for Tencent Animation to achieve the current results of Demon King's contract. After all, its cover and illustrations they are all written by Miyobi, but teacher Miyobi is usually very busy. The other party is still serializing Susian series and Book of Life and Death, which may not be enough time. Moreover, the other party is still a high school student, and I am afraid he will not let himself. It's too much of a burden. Zhao Jing ignored Yu Zhong's wink and rejected the other party's request in disguise before the other party could say anything. Susiener had said before that in the future, anyone who came to her to draw covers or illustrations should not come to her. Obviously, the Demon King, the author of the contract, did not reveal anything, which made Susiener very unhappy. In this case, Zhao Jing naturally agreed. In fact, according to his thinking, Susiener did not have enough time to think about the plot of Book of Life and Death, so she still drew illustrations. Isn't this putting the cart before the horse? Obviously, Zhao Jing didn't know that Susiener had already set up a studio. Now even if someone wants illustrations, Susiener can agree to it. She doesn't need to draw anyway, she can just sit back and make money. Chen Shui also gave a thumbs up to Susiener's move, saying that she was finally smart and knew that she had made a small fortune. No, no, no. Chief Editor Zhao, you got it wrong. Su Qing's heart tightened when he heard this, but he smiled without changing his face. I'm here today to seek cooperation on behalf of the light novel channel. Cooperate? Yes, as we all know, light novels are a genre that mainly uses diverse styles, changing scenes, and bold settings to make readers feel like they are watching anime. In addition, some light novels have gorgeous vocabulary, eclectic writing, and language expressions. It's magical, so it's very suitable for animation adaptation, Su Qing said with a faint smile. So I was thinking, if that's the case, why can't our two companies cooperate? Tencent Animation is committed to being the leader in domestic animation, and China Literature Group isn't that the case. In addition, both of us are actually owned by Tencent headquarters, so we can't take advantage of outsiders. Zhao Jing was slightly startled. He didn't expect that the other party's idea was the same as what he had thought before, but after a little thought, he understood it in his mind. The other party kept going around and around but still didn't give up. Then he shook his head and said with a smile, Chief Editor Su, let's put it this way. Many people in the comic circle are still imitating the style of Mr. Miyobi, which means that the trend of large-scale adaptation of light novels into animation will be at least 2 or 3 years away. It is too early to talk about this now. In this case, we can pick out a few to test the water first. Su Qing followed closely, and Editor-in-Chief Zhao should know that China Literature Group has many great, platinum, and even supreme authors. They are very popular in the online literary world. They are the top existences. I received a call from them in the morning. They all hope to get the character paintings and covers drawn by teacher Miyobi. After a pause, Su Qing saw that Zhao Jing was about to speak, so he continued, Editor-in-Chief Zhao, wait until I finish speaking, and then you can consider whether to reject me. Maybe you don't understand the internet literary circle, but there are many great authors among them. They are all vice presidents or presidents of the Network Writers Association. Although they hold temporary positions, their influence within the Network Writers Association is very large. Their readership is in the thousands, not to mention countless people who don't like to join. You have a group of fans and readers, and I know that Editor-in-Chief Zhao, you have been worrying about how to expand the readers of the animation circle, so why not use online articles as a springboard to promote it? How to say? Zhao Jing's heart moved, and ideas suddenly emerged. Internet writing is now a very large circle. China Literature Group released special statistics at the beginning of this year. Last year in 2015, there were more than 300 million people who downloaded the Kidian app client. Although repeated downloads are included, it also reached the total number of people in the country. 1/8 of the total, and this does not include readers from other websites. So the covers of Kidian, including other novel websites, are all the same. If Mr. Miyobi can design covers for authors of great names and above under China literature, the animation circle will it get a lot of attention because of this. Su Qing observed Zhao Jing's face as he spoke, and found that the other person's face changed slightly, and the emotions revealed in his eyes were obviously moving. Yes, Zhao Jing was indeed moved. The online literature circle is much larger than his animation circle, and although ACK includes novels, the development gap between the two is really too big. The publicity plan Su Qing mentioned is not unreasonable. As long as Susiener agrees to design covers for these novels, then a large number of readers of the internet will see it, which will be a kind of spontaneous publicity. By then, there will be no need for special publicity on their part, and a wave of running water will be formed. It is very possible to use readers' curiosity to understand the wonderful writing as a springboard to introduce these readers into the comic industry. Thinking about this, Zhao Jing knew that he had been convinced. Just when he was about to speak, the mobile phone in his pocket rang. Zhao Jing stiffened and said with an apologetic smile, "Sorry, I came in a hurry, I forgot to turn off my phone." Just when he took out his cell phone to refuse the call, he looked at the caller with some embarrassment. "It's okay, Chief Editor Zhao, first things first," Su Qing said with a slight smile. "Sorry," Zhao Jing said, then answered the phone and said softly, "Mr. Liu, why did you call me when you had time?" A few seconds later, Zhao Jing was stunned. "What? Asking for monthly ticket OVO. Transformed into a comic book artist." Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 114. Chapter 114. Only wonderful writing can develop a light novel channel. Please vote for automatic subscription. What? Zhao Jing was shocked after hearing Lu Qingyun's words, and then he couldn't laugh or cry. Yu Xia, the author of The Saint, actually went to Lu Qingyun for help. Lu Qingyun said helplessly on his mobile phone, "This young man Yu Xia wants me to help him design the cover, but I'm not free now, and my painting style doesn't match his aesthetic. I guess, he must want me to help him." I contacted Miao Bai, but I was too embarrassed to say it clearly. If I didn't make it clear, he might still be chatting with me for a long time. As he spoke, Lu Qingyun's tone was somewhat helpless and funny. As a national figure in the comics industry, Lu Qingyun has been hearing news about wonderful writing recently. What happened to Miao Bai? What happened to Miao Bai? My ears are almost calloused. But as an older generation of cartoonists, Lu Qingyun is very happy to see the younger generation rise and achieve things they cannot do. He is already old and has long lost his competitive mentality. Now he just wants to finish the comic book Saint, then retire and take care of himself, and then see how far Susiener can go. He is looking forward to Susiener's future development, and will do his best to help the other party when the other party is in difficulty. As a result, I just received a call from Yu Xia. Although I wanted to ask him to help design the cover, but after Xiao Wang learned about Kidian's situation, he immediately rejected it. And Yu Xia also said with shame that she really wanted to ask him to contact Miao Bai. After all, in front of a national figure in the comics industry, asking for help from another cartoonist is really a slap in the face. This is the same humiliation as when a new author comes to him and asks him what he is doing, and the other person says that he wants to find another great author to ask for advice on writing skills. However, as an old man, Lu Qingyun had a very tolerant attitude, so he would not be angry because of this matter. Instead, he agreed to make a phone call to see if he could help him. However, he also told the other party not to have hope. Although he knew Susiener, he was not familiar with her because they had no contact with each other. After learning about this situation, Zhao Jing smiled bitterly and said, "Is it just a cover? I heard from Yu Xia that his readership is about to be in trouble." Lu Qingyun said, "After all, internet article authors and cartoonists rely on readers to earn their living. Everything Yu Xia has is given to him by readers. Of course you have to take it seriously. Lu Qingyun is right, Uexia is so anxious because of the readers. He still remembers the first book he wrote 6 years ago as a newbie in the online literature circle. Because of poor grades, when he expressed his desire to be a eunuch in the article, a reader directly rewarded the leader and asked him not to give up. Although there were no words of inspiration, being a leader made him feel heavy and had great responsibility, because as long as he became a eunuch, the other party's money would be wasted, and no one's money was blown by the strong wind. So he persevered. When the first book reached 150 points, after being recommended by a client, his grades skyrocketed and took off. According to the editor, his book has not been exposed for too long, so it suddenly attracted a large number of readers. In addition, 1.5 million has reached the middle and late stages of the novel, and the plot development has entered a stage where it has been realized. Caused this blowout phenomenon. Then, based on the readers of the first book, he reached the present step by step, and the first person who rewarded him as the leader has now become his best friend. When the two of them have time, they will come out to get together. Therefore, in Uexia's view, he must do his best to satisfy all reasonable requests from readers. Mr. Lu, let me ask for you, but I can't be sure whether Miyobi answers or not. No problem, I'm just here to help you, Uexia asked. Hearing this, Zhao Jing hung up the phone, and then looked at the curious Su Qing, who did not hide the matter. Hearing this, Su Qing laughed and said, Uxia is an author who cares more about his readers. I'm not surprised that he can do such a thing. Finding a national figure in the comics industry for a cover seems like a fantasy, but it did happen. Let's see. Zhao Jing looked at the time, pondered for a while and said, Editor-in-Chief Su, I'm more interested in your plan, and Miyobi is probably out of school now. I can contact her, but I don't agree. It's her business, so don't put too much hope in it. Of course, Chief Editor Su nodded with a smile, but Yuzhong, who had been silent next to him, didn't express any hope. After all, he understood Susienner's character, which was indeed willful. Zhao Jing nodded and then called Susienner. Hello. As soon as Zhao Jing answered the call, he heard Susienner's voice. Teacher Miyobi, I have something to ask you. Zhao Jing glanced at Su Qing and saw anticipation in his eyes. That's right, this matter is relatively big, so can I take the conditional card you promised me last time, and do you agree? Last time, Susienner forgot what Zhao Jing asked her to do twice, so she made a condition for agreeing to Zhao Jing. Of course, the premise was that she was interested. However, Susienner warned, what are you going to do? Zhao Jing smiled bitterly. It was obvious that the other party was a ghost. Hearing this, he could only truthfully tell Susienner about Su Qing's plan. This surprised Su Qing next to him. He didn't expect that the other party would truthfully tell Miyobi about this kind of business plan. It seems that Miyobi's weight is very important in the eyes of Tencent Animation. A cover again, Susienner was speechless. Why was she, a comic book artist, now reduced to drawing covers for others to make a living? This is simply a shame for cartoonists, okay. But when he thought of something, Hung Hung said evilly, draw a cover. Okay. But my fee has increased. Zhao Jing was surprised. The other party had previously told anyone who wanted a cover or illustrations in the future not to come to her, but why did it change in just one day? Naturally, he didn't know that Susienner still owed money. The royalties from Susien series are 1.37 million plus the 500,000 from Demon King's contract, plus the gift money from previous live broadcasts and the money for cover rights. In total, Susienner earned 2 yuan last month. Million. Then as soon as they got it, they dispersed directly. I gave Chen Rui 600,000, and now I still owe him 3 million. Then he transferred all 1.2 million to his aunt to repay the debt, and then repaid Zhao Jing's loan of 200,000 to her. So, Now Susiener has no money again. As for the Book of Life and Death, it has been free to watch due to the newcomer competition. Although it was disqualified, Tencent Animation has no intention of charging. They have also talked with Susiener about the real Book of Life and Death comic. The bulk of it is not the money spent on subscriptions, but the money spent on other copyrights after expanding the IP. And Book of Life and Death is free to watch, which can completely attract fans and gather crowds, so Susiener was convinced. Price increase. Are you short of money again? Zhao Jing was stunned for a moment, and then this thought came to his mind. He couldn't help but laugh. Thinking like this, he hinted, the people Mr. Miyobi is asking you to draw the cover of are all great authors in the internet literary circle. Their annual income is over 100 million. So their requirements for covers may be very high. Thinking of Lu Qingyun's words, he continued, there is also Yu Xia, the author of The Saint. I believe you should know about it, Teacher Miyobi. This person can already be called the supreme god in the internet literary world. If you draw the cover yourself, the charge can be slightly higher. These almost explicit words made Susiener's eyes filled with $, and then she hurriedly agreed, no problem, it's just painting, I'm the best at it. Let's do this. You let them work together, a group called 601399852, ask them to come to this group to find me, bring money, and tell me if they have any requests. Why did these words sound like round corners? Zhao Jing felt strange, but he knew that his thoughts were evil. After he breathed a sigh of relief, he didn't expect the other party to agree so easily, but his words were swallowed up in his stomach. How is it? Seeing Zhao Jing hang up the phone, Su Qing asked expectantly. Agreed. Zhao Jing breathed a sigh of relief. Now that we have opened this door, it means that there is absolutely hope for future cooperation. Okay, Su Qing said excitedly. As long as Miyobi agrees, they will have the foundation to develop a light novel channel in the future. Otherwise, how could a Demon King's contract bring traffic to the entire category? Su Qing then chatted with Zhao Jing for a few words and returned with a confused Yu Zhong. While on the road, Su Qing called several great writers and asked them to join the group, and then told Yu Zhong to ask them to join the group later. Seeing Yu Zhong's surprise, Su Qing said, the light novel channel needs more books that can be read. Mr. Yang said something to me before. He said that the books that Yuan wants to support will definitely become gods. This sentence is a slogan, for prepare for listing after reading the article. As long as the slogan can be realized, China literature will have a big hit before it goes on the market. The success of Demon King's contract has allowed Mr. Yang to see how the slogan can be realized. Therefore, the light novel channel must be developed, and the only person who can make light novels develop is a wonderful writer. 23,333 When I was nervous, I typed the wrong title. The previous chapter was chapter 111, not chapter 112 OVO, and it seemed like I couldn't change it. Don't blame me. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 115. Chapter 115 God Level Art Skills. Ask for monthly ticket and automatic subscription. Are you okay, Mr. Su? Come over and record the song. Lin Jingshu couldn't help but urge when she saw Susiener packing her mobile phone. Oh, don't rush me, Susiener said angrily, I can't run. You can't run, you can drag her. Lin Jingshu rolled her eyes. In the past 2 days, she had asked Susiener to come over to record songs. Every time the other party found excuses to drag her there, today she was determined not to let him drag her there no matter what. As a result, just when Susiener was about to start recording, the phone rang again. Susiener said awkwardly, There have been a lot of phone calls recently. Lin Jingshu pouted and hummed slightly, but said nothing. A lot of people have just joined the group you asked me to create. As soon as he answered the call, Chen Shui's voice came over with surprise. Did you do something? We haven't even started promoting it yet. Join the group so soon, Su Xian'er blinked. Since Miyobi Studio was established, Chen Shui suggested setting up another review group. People who need illustrations, covers, vertical paintings, etc. can join. Review the group, confirm the price, and when you really want to place an order, you can join the main group. But Su Xian'er was too lazy these days. Chen Shui asked the other party to post a message on Weibo, Miyobi, and Shuijingjishi, to promote it. Su Xian'er delayed it for 2 or 3 days, and Chen Shui simply didn't know what to say. Well, because her worth is also marked on the price list, so as long as it is publicized, Su Xian'er can expect that many people will join the group and let her paint. But as a lazy person, Su Xian'er, when she thinks of that kind of the scene made me shudder. She wanted to cancel the price about her on the price list, but Chen Shui gave her a blank look and said, I guess there are many people here for you. If you are not on the price list, no one else will place an order. It's the same thing when you take an order and then quietly hand it over to someone else. Can it still be like this? Su Xian'er was dumbfounded at that time. Nonsense. This is a social norm. Society is too dangerous, you capitalists should be immersed in pig cages. But even so, Su Xian'er wanted to be lazy, so she never promoted it on Weibo. Just now, Zhao Jing called and said that many authors wanted her to draw covers, so she simply asked these people to join the group. The most important thing was that she was short of money. Because Chen Rui told her that Station B has invested most of its funds in the recent development of 3D virtual projection and must start series of financing, so her shares were not an option for Chen Rui, so he asked her to hurry up. Collect the money and transfer the shares to her. Otherwise it will be bad if things become more complicated. Just when Su Xian'er was about to pick up her phone and enter the QQ group to take a look, she found Lin Jingshu looking at her with resentful eyes. Seeing this, she put away her phone and said, record a song, record the song first. Okay, Lin Jingshu's eyes lit up and she said happily. When Yuexia joined the QQ group given by Editor-in-Chief Su, I couldn't help but be surprised and muttered, isn't this a group of scammers? Miyobi Studio Review Group, this is the name of the group, but there are only 2 people in the entire group. One nickname is Miyobi, and the other is an assistant nicknamed Miyobi. Simple and clear. After he joined the group, a group announcement popped up. Newcomers can look at the price list when they join the group after making a decision. Miyobi's assistant can just put forward their requirements. I'm going. Do you want to be so aloof? Looking at the group announcement, and no one came out to welcome him, Yuexia smiled bitterly, but thought of Editor-in-Chief Su calling him and telling him that Miyobi had a weird temper because he was only 17 years old, and asked him to communicate on his own. It's useless to communicate now, no one talks. Thinking about it, Yuexia pinched her nose and went to look at the price list. Once you click on it, the price list is also clear and very simple. Junior Art Artist, price 5,000 minus 10,000, request can be made, and the draft can be revised within 10 times. Intermediate Art Artist, price 10,000 minus 20,000, request can be made, and the draft will be revised within 5 times. Senior Art Artist, price 20,000 minus 50,000, request can be made, and the draft will be revised within 3 times. God Level Art Pen, negotiate the price in detail, you can make a request, and the draft will be revised depending on your mood. Puff. Yuexia sprayed it after reading it. This is too easy to fool people. Just when Yuexia wanted to complain, someone joined the group one after another. Fi Yiyan has joined this group. Chen Nan has joined this group. Shuiyu has joined this group. Looking at these ids, Uexia typed directly, "Hey, are you here to join in the fun? Damn you chicken. I knew you were there too." As soon as Shui Yu entered the group and saw Yuxia speaking, he couldn't help but joked, "I am lying in wait in your group to watch the excitement." "Get out." Uexia's face turned dark when she heard the name Laoji. "Are you sure this isn't a liar?" As soon as Fi Yiyan entered the group, he obviously saw only a few people and spoke directly. He is quite upright and speaks when he has something to say. "I don't know, I just came in," Uexia typed. These people who just came in are all great figures in the internet literary circle, and they all know each other and have their own small circles. The ones introduced by Editor-in-Chief Su may seem like a group of scammers, but they are definitely not scammers. Chen Nan laughed and typed, "I just looked at the price list, which means that if you are looking for a wonderful painting, you need to discuss it in detail." Speaking of this, Chen Nan directly tagged Chen Shui and said, "I would like to ask teacher Miyobi to design character portraits and heroine portraits for me, as well as some supporting characters in the novel." After posting, everyone saw that Miyobi's assistant finally spoke the first sentence, "Teacher Miyobi is busy now. After I pull you into the main group, you can quit this group yourself." "No problem." 5 seconds later, Chen Nan quit the group. Seeing this scene, Uexia let out a sigh, knowing that he had been beaten to the punch, and then directly tagged Chen Shui, "I would like to ask teacher Miyobi to design the cover and the image of the protagonist according to my requirements. The price can be discussed in detail." After saying this, he received an invitation, and after accepting it, he consciously quit the review group. When the other people saw it, they followed suit. When Uexia arrived at the Miyobi studio, he found that there were dozens of people in this group, and then he couldn't help laughing at the nicknames of these people. What names like Miyobi's small pen holder, Miyobi's small notebook, Miyobi's small pen washer, Miyobi's little fanboy, and so on, are very funny. Afterwards, several people chatted in the group for more than 10 minutes and learned some information. For example, there were only 2 senior artists, Yang Shen and Wang Su, and nearly 10 other intermediate artists, and the rest were junior artists. In the group album, there were many standing pictures with watermarks of specific nicknames for them to view. If they liked any style of painting, they could just chat with the 3 group managers and tell them what they wanted. The managers would contact the artists privately to carry out the task. It was a very simple model, but everyone's heart was not on these artists. They were looking for Miyobi. But after asking, Miyobi's assistant said that Miyobi was busy, so they had to wait until the other party came online. There was no way for several people to wait. And this wait lasted more than 3 hours. At around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Susiener finally popped up in the group. "I heard someone was looking for me. 4 more chapters will be sent out during the day, then, I ask for recommendation tickets, monthly tickets, and automatic subscriptions. You can also give me rewards." Ovo accepts all. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 116. Susiener has been recording songs for the past few hours. After Susiener finished recording, Lin Jingshu kept looking at her with a strange look. Even though Susiener was thick-skinned, she couldn't help but blush. Then she couldn't stand the other person's eyes and glared at him. "What's wrong?" "Nothing, nothing," Lin Jingshu held back her laughter. She really couldn't imagine that Susiener, with her previous personality, could sing such a playful and cute song as the world's #1 princess. However, this song is very nice and has a strong personal style, but it is really unbelievable when Susiener sings it. People who don't know Susiener won't think anything, and may even like such a playful and cute Susiener, but Lin Jingshu has lived with her for a month, and she knows her personality very well. A person like Susiener who stays at home every day, doesn't clean up her room, is lazy and untidy, is addicted to games, tries every means to skip classes, and has a devilish personality, actually sang a song like the world's #1 princess? To be honest, when Lin Jingshu was incredulous, she seemed to see another side of Susienur, so she couldn't help but smile from the beginning. Humph, Susienur snorted lightly. There was no way. Chen Rui, like Lin Jingshu, had been urging her to record the song for him these 2 days, otherwise he would be annoyed by the complexity of the song, so she took the opportunity to record it today. As a result, after recording, Lin Jingshu kept looking at her, making her feel uncomfortable. By the way, didn't you just answer the phone? Is there something important? Lin Jingshu thought of Susiener's call a few hours ago. Oh, by the way, the money-making plan. Susiener slapped her head and sat in the recording studio without leaving, intending to deal with it before she left. Lin Jingshu also sat down after seeing this and put on her headphones to listen to the song. Originally, Susiener didn't intend to give the world's #1 princess to the other party, but she couldn't stand the other party's coquetry, so she had no choice but to give it to him, but she also told him not to upload it to the internet. After all, this song was the killer prepared by Chu Fan and Chen Rui for Sujug. As for how to use it, it was none of her business. When Susiener logged into her QQ account, she looked at the group and then flipped through the chat records of the review group. Then, she pulled Chen Shui to chat privately, and she roughly knew the requirements of the authors of these online writers. I heard that someone is looking for me. Susiener suddenly appeared in the studio group. Before other artists could react, Uexia, who was waiting in front of the computer, directly tagged the other party and typed, "Miobi teacher, I want you to design the cover and the image of the protagonist for the saint." As a result, as soon as he typed it out, Chen Nan, Shuiyu and others also popped up and said their requirements, which made Uexia stunned. These beasts actually stayed in front of the computer? However, what Uexia didn't know was that although Chen Nan and others' readers were not as noisy as his book friends, they also tagged them and asked them to find Miobi teacher to design the image of the protagonist or the female protagonist, especially the image of the female protagonist, because this would allow their book friends to imagine the female protagonist more intuitively, and the male protagonist was optional. And Uexia didn't have a female protagonist in the book, so the readers could only ask for the image of the male protagonist. There was no way. The cover and illustrations of The Devil's Contract impressed the readers so much that they couldn't help it. Why did The Devil's Contract have such a good cover and illustrations, but the book they read didn't have it? This is why Chen Nan and others also came to the door. Although they didn't care about the readers' opinions as much as Uexia, they could definitely meet the requirements of making the cover and designing the image of the protagonist. When Chen Shui saw this situation, she directly pulled all these people into a discussion group. You can discuss here. Because Susiener's worth is relatively high, if the price is negotiated in the group, Chen Shui is afraid of hitting those artists, so she did so. Susiener didn't care, but asked in the discussion group, who asked for the ink painting style just now. Uexia looked and said quickly, "It's me, because my protagonist is a Confucian scholar who became a saint through Confucianism, so I think the ink painting style will be more in line with the image of my protagonist." "No problem, I'll take your order, and others can find other artists." Susiener's words made others dumbfounded. "Mr. Miobi, our readers strongly asked us to let you design the cover and characters for the novel, and money is not a problem." Others also said the same thing as Chen Nan said. "But I don't have time," Susiener typed, "I still have classes, so I can only take one order, and the strength of other artists is not worse than mine." Susiener was of course lying, because she was lazy, so she didn't want to be too tired, and if other artists took orders, she could also get money. Wasn't the original intention of setting up a studio to lie down and count money? You can't put the cart before the horse. Although she wants to make money, Susiener is a hedonist, so enjoyment comes first and making money comes later. But she didn't lie in what she said next. Although some of these artists' painting styles are relatively poor, their painting skills are not bad. After all, they have all learned painting since childhood. However, others shook their heads. Even if someone's painting style is better than Susienner, they will not choose the other person, but Susienner. Because Susienner is very famous now, she is the pioneer of the painting style and the teacher of everyone in the comics industry. In other words, as long as there are more and more readers in the comics industry and more people like the ACT Circle, more and more people will know Susienner. And in this way, as time goes by, Susienner's fame will become bigger and bigger, and her value will rise higher and higher. This is the biggest difference between the pioneer and the latecomer, just like Zeta who pioneered the infinite flow. Now when it comes to the infinite flow, Zeta comes to mind, but how many people will remember those infinite flow novels that are not worse than Zeta's infinite horror? This is the gap brought by fame. Seeing that everyone else refused, Susienner snorted, "It's okay for me to draw, but it may take a long time, as short as 3 months, as long as half a year." Everyone smiled bitterly when they heard this. Although the update timeline of online novels is very long, 3 months or half a year is too long. Uexia typed timidly, "Then Miobi teacher, my cover and character image design won't take that long, right?" "No. I'm more interested in ink painting recently, so it will be finished soon." Before Susienner traveled through time in her previous life, she wanted to try the modern ink painting style, but her foundation was not good. Although she kept looking for opportunities to be lazy after traveling to this world, she has been drawing the Susien series all the time, and her foundation has become more and more solid as she has been practicing. In addition, the last lecture to the artists also allowed her to review the old and learn the new, and she has made significant progress. So when Uexia asked for the ink painting style, she was very interested. This interest is like seeing a game she likes, very strong. Before, drawing books and comics seemed like work, so she looked for opportunities to be lazy, but for things she was interested in, although she would be slow, she was much faster than before. Of course, in addition to this, no one in her group can draw in this style. Ink painting itself is difficult, and with the ink painting style character portraits, Yang Shen and Wang Su are probably confused and have no idea where to start. Seeing this, Uexia breathed a sigh of relief. The others could only watch anxiously, because they seemed unable to convince Miobi. As for 3 months or 6 months, they did not consider it. After all, this period of time is too long. What should they do if readers come to them to make trouble? Suddenly Chen Nan typed, "Then how about this, Teacher Miobi, you can draw a draft, and then let the senior artist help you complete it. Then you give it to us, and we will claim that it was you who drew it. How about it?" Of course, the price remains the same. The others looked at it, and their eyes lit up and expressed their agreement. And Susienner's eyes widened, thinking of what Chen Shui had said to her before. I didn't expect that there really was such a form. Or did these people take the initiative to propose it? This kind of free money, Susienner naturally agreed. Seeing this, everyone finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then Susienner pulled Uexia to chat privately and asked about the other party's requirements. After discussing for a while, the two decided on the direction. When she got home at night, Susienner played games for a while and then started working. 5th update, 3 more to go. Please give me monthly tickets, recommendation tickets, and automatic subscription to OVO. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Sheng Wu. Chapter 117. Brothers and sisters, the cover and the protagonist's image that you want have been drawn for us by teacher Miobi. The cover has been uploaded and the illustration is in the latest chapter. You can see it by turning to the next page. This time our protagonist Lucien's the image is completely improved. 2 days later, at 6 o'clock in the evening, Uexia's whole body became excited. He only felt this way 3 times in the past few years. The first time was when he opened the second book. The explosive results made him extremely excited. The second time was when The Saint was released. The first order shocked the entire internet, shocking all the authors in the internet literary circle, and completely announced the arrival of the Moonlight era in the internet literary world. These two experiences allowed Uexia to complete a transformation, making his temperament more settled and more mature and stable. But this time when Susiener handed him the painted cover and an illustration, he was attracted by just one glance. For the first time, Uexia saw his protagonist appear in front of him in the form of a painting, which he had never dared to imagine before. Even at the beginning, he only glanced at Lu Qingyun's comics and then stopped reading them. Although he did not express his disapproval of the protagonist's image, he did not admit it in his heart. But after all, it was drawn by Lu Qingyun, a national figure in the comics industry. He could not say much because the other party was a highly respected person. Although he makes more money and has more fans than the other person, his social status is not as high as the other person. After all, the internet literary circle is an emerging industry in recent years, and Lu Qingyun is one of the early comics evangelists, which is admirable. Of course, many of his readers don't admit it. Except for those who like to read comics, most of them don't even read it. Fortunately, Lu Qingyun also knows the fatal shortcomings of the comic circle, so he publicizes that comics are comics and novels are novels. The plot of the comics has been slightly changed, so although this is a comic adaptation of the novel The Saint, the two are different. And do not substitute the image of the protagonist of the comic book for the image of the protagonist of the novel. This statement made Uexia and his readers relieved. After all, the novel was better made up by one's own imagination, and the muscular style of the comic was really not pleasing to the eye. But this time when Uexia saw the cover and illustrations drawn by Susiener, she was completely relieved. She even put several exclamation points when talking in the group to show her shock. As a die-hard fan of Uexia, Chen Xiang almost immediately went to the Kidian homepage to refresh the cover when Uexia updated it. Seeing this, I couldn't help but be shocked. In the past, the cover of Saint was a green mountain shrouded in smoke, which was indeed very fairy-like. However, when all the fantasy heroes in the entire starting point were in this style, they almost vomited. The fairy spirit has become tacky. But this time when Chen Xiang refreshed his eyes and saw the cover, he was stunned. On the cover, surrounded by darkness, a delicate face is as gentle as jade, standing upright, extremely conspicuous against the dark background, making it clear at a glance. Under the illumination of a weak candle, a very harmonious and slightly pale face appeared in front of Chen Xiang, his eyes glowed with golden light, and his mouth seemed to be murmuring something. The gilded words around him appeared out of thin air, but the starting cover was compressed too small and it was blurry and Chen Xiang couldn't see it clearly. A pair of slender, clean hands turned over the books on the table. The books moved with the wind, and the picture was frozen in the scene. Chen Xiang was confused. He knew that there must be something on the cover that he hadn't seen, but the Kidian cover was so small that he couldn't see it clearly. Just when he returned to the group and strongly demanded the big picture, he found that the entire group had rioted. Is the drawing done? So fast. I saw it. Damn it. How is it? How is it? I don't dare to watch it. The style of Demon King's contract doesn't match Saint, right? Ink painting style, oh my god. It's the first time I've seen characters in ink painting style. It's so stunning. Why is it that the cover I'm looking at is not ink and wash style, but more realistic? The cover is not in the ink style, the illustrations are, just look at the illustrations. Is there a big picture? Princess Uexia, where is the big picture? The small picture on the cover is not enough to look at. Are you blind? Uexia Ji has already uploaded the big picture in the group photo album. Go download it and take a look at it yourself. After seeing the last sentence, Chen Xiang didn't say anything. He saw the two pictures uploaded by Uexia in the group photo album and downloaded them directly. His internet speed is very fast, and it can be downloaded directly in a few seconds. Without saying anything, he clicked on the cover. I am your ancestor. This time, Chen Xiang had a completely different feeling compared to just now, and was completely shocked. If the small cover at the beginning was like a blurry back of a beauty, then this picture is of a peerless beauty, completely presented in front of him. The hair and eyebrows of the protagonist Ryu Hyun are completely intact and can be seen clearly. Even after zooming in, if you are patient, you can count them. And he also saw clearly what the gilded characters were that appeared out of thin air. They turned out to be words from the Analects of Confucius. The gilded words floating in the air turned out to be review the past and learn the new. He was speechless. This detail was really there is no one left. The book on the table is also the Analects of Confucius. The writing is extremely detailed. The edges of the yellowed pages are slightly upturned. They are extremely worn and even covered with fine lines like spider webs. As for why the background was pitch black, Chen Xiang also saw that there was a candle on the table, and the light of the candle shone on the face of the protagonist, that is, the light of the entire cover was formed by the candle. The painter used the candle light as the center point, and the protagonist's face and the Analects were naturally the most conspicuous as they were closest to the candle. Then the light became weaker and weaker as it got farther away, and the protagonist's green clothes and the furniture behind were all looming, leaving Chen Xiang at a loss for words. The painter was obviously too demanding on details, but Chen Xiang was very excited after reading it all the way. This was the first time he saw a cover and a painting, and felt his heart surge. Although he was also excited by the cover and illustrations of the Contract of the Demon King, that was passion. Today, he was completely worshipping the painter in his heart. It was really amazing. Just when he was about to look at the second painting, which was the ink painting in everyone's mouth, the group suddenly flashed, and his eyes lit up. He set a focus on Uexia, and now this situation means that the other party has bubbled up. Chen Xiang opened the group and saw the group message was filled with 666,666. He was curious and then flipped through it. After understanding the situation, he was stunned. It turned out that someone had just asked Uexia how much he paid for the two pictures to be drawn by Miobi. Uexia directly told him. The cover cost 250,000, and the ink illustration cost 350,000, a total of 600,000 for the two pictures. 600,000, that's crazy. Chen Xiang trembled and clicked on the ink illustration he had just downloaded, wanting to see what qualifications this 350,000 illustration had. As a result, he couldn't help but stare at it. After a long time, Chen Xiang picked up his phone and made a call. With deep hidden excitement, he said, "Director Zhang, I found the TV series poster of The Saint. The sixth update, asking for monthly tickets and subscription to OVO. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Sheng Wu. Chapter 118. The novel The Saint is the biggest IP in the online literature world today. Even the old supreme god Chen Nan is ashamed of this book, which can only eat dust and be suppressed in the second place on the monthly ticket list. The copyrights of mobile games, web games, comics, etc. have all been sold, and some companies have even contacted Uexia to buy the title of the other party's next book. Yes, the title. Not the copyright. This is Uexia's influence in the online literature world. The copyright of the TV series was sold by Uexia before the book The Saint was published. Of course, although the copyright was sold, because the saint had not yet been published, it had been hoarded and had not been filmed. It was not until the saint was put on the shelves and the plot developed to the middle and late stages, and now it has 2 million words, that Tianya Group began to prepare for the filming of the saint 3 months ago. This time is the most influential time for the saint. They started filming at this time, which can fully attract the attention of readers and fans of the saint. Of course, although the saint is an online novel, it is too long. If all of it is to be filmed, then the TV series will be too long. So the script adaptation of the TV series is necessary, but due to the strong request of the readers of the saint, the plot must be consistent with the original text, and the most important thing is that there is no female protagonist. The point of no female protagonist is what the readers asked for. In this regard, Tianya Group is very open-minded, but they are entangled in the promotional posters. The Saint is a novel about all kinds of people, that is, in addition to the main character, there are many important supporting roles. As a result, Tianya Group encountered difficulties when preparing to make promotional posters. The promotional posters of general TV series are to take a photo of the leading actors and then put it online for promotion. But there are many important supporting roles in The Saint. After picking and choosing, some people finally said that it would be better to let the protagonist appear on the screen alone. But some people said that one person would appear too thin. Of course, some people said that if there is a female protagonist, the male and female protagonists can appear on the screen. Unfortunately, The Saint has no female protagonist. Then this problem became an endless loop. Promotional posters are extremely important, not to mention that they are preparing for the first round of promotion. Whether or not to attract the public's attention depends on the first round of promotion, and the poster plays a crucial role in the first link. The most important thing is that Tianya Group wants to make a fresh and refined poster, because the posters in the current film and television industry are too casual, stereotyped, and similar. If you want to stand out, you must be creative. Unfortunately, the TV series has been filmed for a month, and they haven't thought of any good ideas. And tonight, Jong Bowen received a call. Hello? Who is this? Director Jong, I found the TV poster for The Saint. When a familiar voice came from the phone, Jong Bowen was startled and asked tentatively, Xiao Chen. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly recalled what the other party had just said and said in surprise, poster. What poster? The promotional poster for The Saint. Recently, Tianya Group has issued a reward internally. As long as you can come up with a wonderful idea or design a promotional poster and be recognized by the company, you can get a bonus. When Chen Xiang saw this ink painting, he called Jong Bowen, the director of The Saint, without saying a word. What form of creativity? Jong Bowen raised his eyebrows slightly. Recently, many staff members contacted him and said that there were many creative ideas for promotional posters, which made him very annoyed, because every time he heard or watched it, he could only say that it was mediocre. And Chen Xiang naturally knew him, or was very familiar with him. Because the other party was a cameraman who had been following him, and was considered one of his team members, and the other party also told him that he had a creative idea. What a joke! Chen Xiang is a person who can make up for his shortcomings with hard work, and he has no talent, so Jong Bowen doesn't believe it at all. However, he still patiently prepared to listen to the other party's ideas. I just saw an ink painting. This is the author of The Saint who spent 350,000 to ask teacher Miyobi to draw illustrations for the novel, Chen Xiang said in an extremely excited tone. I think this illustration should meet the company's requirements for promotional posters. Spend 350,000 to draw illustrations, Jong Bowen just felt that it was a fantasy, and couldn't help asking, are you sure? Jong Bowen naturally knew the painting style of the painting circle. The landscape is very eye-catching, but the characters are haha. Although the promotional posters do not necessarily have to have characters, most of the promotional posters will have characters, or in other words, except for specific TV series or movies, there must be characters in the promotional posters. As for who Myobi is, he has never heard of him. Director Jong, I'm sure. You're in front of the computer now. I'll send you the pictures. It's not too late for you to take a look and make a decision. Okay, the meal isn't ready yet, I'll take a look. I received 2 pictures from Chen Xiang on QQ, they were quite large. Afterwards, Jong Bowen casually clicked on one of them, then blinked, and was stunned. Suddenly, he realized, no. This is not ink painting style. Obviously, Jong Bowen was looking at the cover. After that, he directly closed the cover picture, took a deep breath, and clicked on the second picture. Affected by the cover, this time he didn't have the disdainful emotion in his heart just now, but was extremely looking forward to it. And when he clicked on the second picture, he was shocked on the spot. The whole soul was deeply shocked. A picture scroll slowly unfolded in front of his eyes. What came into view was an ink painting of mountains, rivers, mist, rain, boats, people, and monsters. The most eye-catching one was a monster in the painting. It had wings, a scaly body with spines, a large and long head, a pointed snout, small nose, eyes, and ears, extremely large eye sockets, high brow arches, sharp teeth, a protruding forehead, a thin neck and a big belly, a long and pointed tail, and strong limbs, just like a winged Yangtze alligator. Yinglong, as the director of The Saint, Jong Bowen also knew about mythological stories, but only a little bit. At this time, he could recognize the monster in the painting at a glance. It was really painted too much like it, lifelike, especially the eyes, with a hint of mockery, and with a sharp-toothed beard. Yinglong's whole expression seemed to be with a disdainful and mocking smile. However, Jong Bowen regrets that the Yinglong in the painting only shows half of its body, and the rest of its body is outside the painting. It makes people wonder how big and long this dragon is. Below Yinglong is a large lake, with a small boat on the lake. A person stands on the boat, wearing a cloth and holding an umbrella. He slightly raises his head in the misty rain and looks into Yinglong's huge eyes, calm and peaceful. It's a very simple picture, but it makes Jong Bowen feel a strange shock. The dragon is big and the person is small, the contrast between the two is very obvious. Coupled with the distant mountains and rivers and the misty rain in the painting, this ink painting has a very harmonious feeling. Xiaobo, it's time to eat. Suddenly, a kind voice came from outside the house. Mom, I'll be here later. Because of the filming, Jong Bowen is now in Hongdian, and his hometown is here. He did not live in the crew, but went home to live with his parents, just in time to see them. After responding, Jong Bowen opened the first cover and placed the two on the table to compare. No matter how he looked at them, he felt that the cover was much more exquisite than the illustration. But, this ink illustration is 350,000 more expensive than the cover. Is there any mystery? Stinky boy, get out and eat. Just as Jong Bowen was thinking, an old man came in without knocking, and then looked at Jong Bowen and glared. Right away. Right away, if you don't come out, do you think your mother will eat first? You, huh? Jong Yu suddenly narrowed his eyes, looked at Jong Bowen's computer, was stunned for a moment, and then went forward without saying a word, pulled Jong Bowen up. Get up, let me see. Ah, Dad. Jong Bowen was pulled up directly, and couldn't help but smile bitterly. Jong Yu stared at the computer without blinking. After more than 10 seconds, he said without raising his head, Go, bring me my glasses. A minute later, when Jong Yu put on his glasses and looked at the cover on the desktop, he was startled and surprised, but he still turned it off, then enlarged the entire illustration and stared at it without saying a word. After a long time, Jong Yu, who had read it countless times, said regretfully, Alas, it's too artificial. The 7th update. Looking at the time, I raised the white flag. It seems that the 8th chapter will be released at midnight. You can click auto-subscribe, then go to bed and read it tomorrow. Please subscribe. Monthly ticket recommendation ticket. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 119. Chapter 119. The opportunity that the fairy missed. 8 more chapters. Please subscribe to monthly tickets. Taiwan Novel Network. Rightward arrow. Dad, which one do you think is better, this painting or the cover you just closed? When Zhang Bowen heard this, his heart moved and he couldn't help asking. Zhang Bowen can be high-spirited outside, but he has to shrink back and behave himself at home. Because his father is one of the vice presidents of the Huaxia Art Association, and his mother is one of the vice presidents of the Huaxia Music Association, so although he is now well known throughout the country, he is like a good baby when he returns home, even in middle age. There is no way, his social status is completely surpassed by his parents, and he has been educated too strictly since childhood, so he can't be tough in front of the two elders. Which one is better? Zhang Yu glared and slapped the table. Did you go crazy from filming? Didn't you see my movements just now? Do you need me to repeat it to you? Then, without waiting for Zhang Bowen to speak, Zhang Yu said bluntly, I just took a look at the cover, then closed it, and then looked at this ink painting for a long time. Which one do you think is better? After being scolded by his father, Zhang Bowen smiled bitterly and didn't dare to say anything. Nonsense. Why is that ink painting better? Is it because of the depiction of the dragon? The depiction of Yinglong really surprised this layman. The finishing touch, the ink of the eyes is very colorful. Do you know the author of this ink illustration? Zhang Yu ignored his son's question and asked back. No, Zhang Bowen answered honestly, and then told Zhang Yu the origin of the two paintings. Hearing this, Zhang Yu tooted his tongue twice. 2 paintings for 600,000, this author made a profit. Seeing Zhang Bowen's doubts, he said lightly, the first cover is a new style in the art world, which is more realistic. There have been such styles in the past, but they are relatively immature, because no one can draw a person's face so delicately. Although the style of this world is more muscular, it is only the body of the style. Many painters are very familiar with the depiction of the face, so Zhang Yu was not shocked. He was just surprised that the painter's skills in realistic style were so mature. If it is exposed, it is estimated that it will shock the audience, and of course it will also have an impact on the art world. After all, this is a formation of a style of painting. However, Zhang Yu did not care. Although he thought it was 2 or 3 years earlier, it was a matter of sooner or later. At his current status, he is no longer considering a style of painting, but considering how to expand the number of people in the art world. The news that the number of art students has decreased again this year has reached him, so he has been very annoyed recently. As the vice president of the Huaxia Art Association, he naturally hopes that the number of art students studying art can increase every year, instead of decreasing every year like now, and he doesn't know when no one will be interested in painting. Although this is impossible, the art world has a strong sense of crisis. Now that he suddenly saw these 2 paintings, he became interested. While talking, Zhang Yu also became interested and pointed to the ink illustration on the table. As for why I want to observe this one, it is because the style of this painting has never been seen before. If I guess correctly, this should be created by the author combining modern techniques with ink style. The ink style figure painting method of Huaxia in this world is more casual and exaggerated, and the lines appear flexible and spiritual. Of course, in the eyes of ordinary people, it is just a person drawn by putting together a few lines, which is worse than the muscle style. And the figure on the light boat in front of Zhang Yu is a complete person, which conforms to the aesthetics of modern people, and it is not a muscle style, so it makes Zhang Yu amazing. Moreover, the artist handled the lines of the characters very tightly, without any loose feeling. Although it lacked aura, it was at least comfortable to look at, and this could keep the figure of the characters well, directly abandoning the muscle style, and it was a truly ordinary person's figure, which was worthy of praise. Eugène naturally didn't know that this was Susiener's recreation based on the advantages of the painting styles of the previous life's Japanese cartoonist Inu Takehiko and the Chinese illustrator Ibuki Satsuki. After all, it was Susiener's first experience to draw illustrations for fantasy novels, so she took it out to practice. "Is this style of painting good?" Jong Bowen asked when he saw that his father suddenly stopped talking and didn't know what he was thinking. "Okay, of course it's good. This is a new style of painting, and the maturity of the style is enough to promote it." Jong Yu nodded, but regretted, "It's just that this painting is too heavy, it can't be called a work of art. Although the whole illustration is very harmonious, it is too deliberate, and the protagonist's umbrella is too pretentious." Jong Bowen asked tentatively. "Yes, to use the words of you young people, it's pretentious. If you remove the umbrella and put your hands behind your back, it might be better, which can make the character more free and easy. But even so, it can't be called a work of art, because the nature of the whole painting has been determined, but you said it's an illustration for a novel, so maybe the author did it deliberately." As he said that, Zhang Yu became interested in the painter again. "Did Xiao Chen tell me what the artist's stage name is?" "I know this. Xiao Chen said that the artist's name is Miyobi." "Miyobi?" Zhang Yu was suddenly stunned, then smiled bitterly and shook his head. "So it was him." "Dad, do you know him?" Zhang Bowen was shocked. "I know him, you know Book of Life and Death." The Book of Life and Death. Zhang Bowen sounded familiar, and suddenly asked in surprise, "Is it the Book of Life and Death that was making a lot of noise on Weibo before?" "Yes, it's that comic. Let's not talk about the style of painting. The fact that the other party can completely abandon the muscle style and create a style that conforms to the aesthetics of modern people is enough to be praised. Our art association wanted to absorb the other party before." Zhang Yu shook his head and said, "It's a pity that it's a book painting." Susiener obviously didn't know that when the Book of Life and Death was making a lot of noise, the art association was still preparing to absorb her into the association. Although she was a comic painter, Susiener created a style of painting and brought vitality to an industry. This is something that many traditional painters cannot do, so the members of the art association have no objection to absorbing the wonderful pen. Because the art association needs fresh blood, and the art world also needs fresh blood. However, after a real investigation, when it was discovered that Susiener was a book cartoonist, the people of the art association completely shut up about this matter. Obviously, Susiener's identity is a bit sensitive, which is regrettable. Zhang Bowen didn't feel anything after learning about this. After all, he and Susiener didn't know each other. Zhang Yu, however, said with some regret, "It would be better if this Miyobi wasn't a comic book artist." Unfortunately, Miyobi's Suxian series is extremely popular in the comics industry, and the sales of the comics are also very crazy, so I'm afraid I won't be able to join the art association in this life. The 8th update is finished, my brain is exploding. So sleepy. I almost fell asleep while typing. Go to sleep. Good night. I'll check the typos and so on when I get up. I can't hold on anymore. Well Ovo, don't forget to ask for monthly tickets, subscriptions, and recommendation tickets. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 120. At this point, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow dot. Oh, so boring, let's just destroy the world. When Lin Jingshu came over with the test paper, she heard Susiener muttering while lying on the table with a look of despair on her face. With a frown on her forehead, Lin Jingshu patted the table, handed over the test paper and said, "Chinese test paper, the teacher asked you to do it well, but you got 0 points for your composition last time. Did you promise to help me with my homework?" Susiener was lazy and did not take it, but said, You promised me last time. I only promised to help you with the subjects that you get full marks for, you have to do the ones that don't get full marks yourself. Tisk, the head teacher is taking revenge on me, my composition got full marks, Susiener said indignantly. The last sentence was so famous, and it was so sensational on Weibo, countless reporters were looking for her like crazy, but she got 0 points, this was naked revenge. Of course, the recent incident has gradually calmed down because the country has promulgated the new minority law, and the internet trend has changed quickly, and the reporters who can't find her have gradually lost their minds and are looking for new news. And her sentence has now become a famous saying on the internet. When you go online, you can see it when you have nothing to do. Many people are fascinated by it. You didn't get full marks anyway. Lin Jingshu didn't care. She couldn't help but say, by the way, Sister Chen asked you to turn on your phone quickly. There are many things to ask you. No, I'm going to buy a new phone. Let this one go with the wind. Hearing this, Susiener shuddered. 2 days ago, after she agreed to help Yuexia draw the cover and illustrations, Chen Shui bewitched her to post GG on Weibo. She thought that since she had started working, she should start making money to get back the shares in Chen Rui's hands. So, she posted a GG on her own Weibo, and then asked Lin Jingshu to post a GG on Shuijing Jushi's Weibo, and then sent the group number of the review group. After that, terrible things happened. The review group of 2,000 people was full in half a day. Then, many people specifically asked her to help draw standing pictures, illustrations, and design characters, saying that money was not a problem. For example, the mobile game Onmyoji that NetEase is preparing to develop recently, and the mobile game Honor of Kings developed by Tencent, and the redesign of the character portraits of League of Legends, other companies have lowered their requirements and said that they can let her work with other artists to complete it. But NetEase and Tencent directly asked her by name that she must complete it alone. Obviously, for these two wealthy companies, they don't lack this little money at all. In addition, Book of Life and Death has brought great popularity to Myobi, so before the mobile game is developed, although the two companies have a series of promotion and publicity plans, Susiener is a cartoonist who has recently emerged and is very famous, so they naturally need to rely on each other's fame. Even the two companies hope that Susiener will post the original portrait on Weibo every time she finishes drawing a portrait to help them warm up. But Susiener said, completion, publicity, and warm-up are all bullshit. If she really agrees to it, will she still play games and waste time? Finally, seeing Susiener shrinking and ignoring them, NetEase looked for Chen Shui with a blank stare, but Chen Shui also said that there was nothing they could do. Instead, Tencent Games found Zhao Jing and called her hoping that she would agree. If you call me again to tell me about this, Book of Life and Death will be abandoned. This sentence scared Zhao Jing so much that he directly rejected Tencent Games and asked the other party to find a solution on their own. Then he comforted Susiener and told her to relax and not to have too much pressure in painting. Book of Life and Death doesn't need to be updated so quickly. In an instant, Susiener felt the care like a spring breeze, which surprised her. After all, Zhao Jing had been urging her to submit the manuscript before, but he was like this when he lost his temper? Should she lose her temper more in the future? Susiener thought about this matter seriously. Lin Jingshu rolled her eyes when she learned about these things and said, but you are idle all day long, why don't you find something to do? I am very busy every day, I have to draw the Book of Life and Death, the Book of Life and Death is updated every 2 days, this kind of tentacle level update is very tiring. Isn't that done by the artists? Ahem, I am also very tired when drawing the Susien series. Haven't you been playing games recently? I haven't seen you drawing. Lin Jingshu glanced at her and directly exposed Susiener's lies with 2 sentences, then why don't we get up every morning to run and exercise, anyway, you just said you were bored. Since Susiener fainted last time due to her period, Lin Jingshu has been worried about Susiener's physical fitness, and racked her brains every day to pull her to exercise. But, Susienner would rack her brains every time to refuse Lin Jingshu's persuasion. I'm bored because my phone doesn't turn on, so I can't play games or surf the internet. Susienner sighed, I'll go buy a new phone this afternoon. This poster is awesome. Just as Lin Jingshu was about to speak, a male classmate next to her suddenly exclaimed, and then saw everyone glaring at her, and couldn't help but smile awkwardly. Seeing this, Susienner looked over curiously, and then stood up directly. What's wrong? Lin Jingshu was curious. I'll go over and see what he found. Are you bored to this extent? Lin Jingshu complained helplessly. Before, Susienner would not move from her seat except to go to the toilet at school. She would only get up and take her home after school. Susienner didn't care. Her biological clock was forcibly adjusted by Lin Jingshu, so she couldn't sleep at all. Now she was so bored. How could she kill time if she didn't find something to do? Anyway, even if he wasted time now, he didn't want to paint. Hey, you. Susienner came over and pointed at the boy in front of her, but she found that she didn't know his name, but she didn't feel embarrassed, but said fiercely, what were you yelling just now? Zhao Dong was immersed in this promotional poster. He heard a crisp voice next to him. He looked up and almost peed, Su classmate. I don't dare, don't confiscate my phone. As the class teacher's little cotton jacket, Susienner had the right to confiscate the phone and give it to Zhou Qinjie in the past, but the previous Susienner would never do such a crazy thing. Susienner, who was bored after traveling through time, did one or two such things, but those were because these people played with their phones in class. In order for these students to be admitted to Tsinghua University and Yanda University in the future, as a study committee member, she naturally had to supervise these students well. Well, the real reason needs to be verified. Susienner took the phone Zhao Dong handed over timidly, looked at it carefully, and was stunned for a moment. Before she could say anything, Lin Jingshu, who followed her, couldn't help but exclaimed, Hey, isn't this the cover? Please vote OVO. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Sheng Wu. Chapter 121. Lin Jingshu was about to say, isn't this the cover you drew, but she changed her mind when she thought that this was a classroom and Susienner's identity could not be revealed. But this still surprised her. A few days ago, Susienner took the order from Yuexia, and because she was more interested in the ink painting style, she started working quickly. Lin Jingshu naturally knew that, after all, as long as Susienner was not a painter, she was still very interested in Susienner's working status. The most important thing was that she also wanted to see how a painting was completed. So when she was tired from studying at night, she would run to the other person's room and watch him draw. Susienner said that this was the cover and illustrations that someone else asked her to draw. Of course, I was supposed to draw the cover and the main character next month. But Susienner said directly, what can a stupid person do if he stands on a piece of paper? If you want to draw, just draw an illustration. Then Yuexia woke up and felt that it made sense, so he copied and pasted the most pretentious paragraph to Susienner and asked her to draw it. After that, I completed the realistic cover and ink-style illustrations. As for these two paintings, Lin Jingshu looked at them without blinking, but she didn't think much of the ink painting, but she was shocked by the realistic cover. Because there are many details here, it is difficult to find. So this kind of realistic and extremely delicate and exquisite painting style shocked Lin Jingshu. Before, she wanted Susienner to draw the two of them and make it the background of her mobile phone. After seeing it, she became even more tempted, but after seeing since Susienner was so busy, she didn't say anything. Now that I suddenly saw it, I was naturally surprised. Susienner was a little surprised when she saw this painting. Zhao Dong was beside him, obsessed with beauty, but he also knew that now was not the time to be in a daze. Seeing that Susienner was interested in this cover, he cautiously said, "Classmate Su, this poster is from the novel The Saint." The cover was then seen by Tianya Group, and they found the promotional poster that the author had made with the permission of the other party. It caused a sensation in the entire film and television industry this morning. Oh, Susienner thought it was something before, but she didn't expect it was the cover she drew for The Saint. But now that it has become a promotional poster, Susienner doesn't feel anything at all. After all, they paid for it at the end of the month. They paid for it and delivered the goods. Except that the artist was her, the two paintings had nothing to do with her. Even if the other party was holding this cover and masturbating to the face in the painting, it's none of her business. Thinking of this, Susienner returned the phone to the other party. When the other party breathed a sigh of relief, she returned to her seat and lay down lazily, with a listless and decadent look on her face. Seeing this, Lin Jingshu could only sigh helplessly and watch. But what happened just now made her interested in Susienner's two paintings, and she couldn't help but pick up her phone and search online. This search didn't matter, it just shocked her. The day before yesterday, Zhang Bowen had been asking his father, Zhang Yu, which one would be more suitable if it were made into a promotional poster. "Are you the director or am I the director?" Zhang Yu glared angrily. "The second picture is a semi-distant ink-style picture. It has no color and depends more on the artistic conception. Ordinary people may be surprised when they see it, but it is not like the first picture at all. It's shocking. Although the first cover is not as good as the second one in my eyes, the first cover is very direct, the prominence of the characters is extremely obvious, the light contrast is strong, and the level of detail of this cover is terrifying, with many small details. It will give people a sense of novelty, just like finding something different, and people will generally be more interested in this." Hearing this, Zhang Bowen stopped eating and directly contacted Tianya Group without saying a word. Tianya Group then spent a day contacting Uexia to ask for the other party's wishes, and then sent the first picture in just one day. Illustration of a promotional poster for the establishment of the company. And at 8 o'clock this morning, this poster was publicized. Weibo, Taiba, major portals, and even major news media. As one of the four major groups in the entertainment industry, Tianyu's resources are very terrifying. If you want to completely expose a poster to the eyes of the audience, you can do it in just a few hours, not to mention that the novel The Saint has been spread to elementary and junior high schools, and to young and middle-aged people. It has many readers and fans. Countless. Ever since The Saint was announced to air, some die-hard fans have been staring at Tianyu's official Weibo all the time, fearing that the other party will randomly change the plot. If that happens, they will start complaining on Weibo. Therefore, when this poster was posted directly, countless people were shocked. Not everyone likes the book club Under the Moonlight, and not everyone pays attention to the cover. There are still many people who like to be fat readers. One day is too short, and many people don't know that the novel The Saint was published. Cover and illustrations. Until this morning, after Tianya Group's massive promotion, even the poster of The Saint appeared in the Tencent News pop-up window, which will shock your eyes. Forced propaganda. So many people knew about this. However, gradually many people started asking on Weibo who the artist was. The painter is a teacher of Miyobi. You don't know this. A well-informed person looked at the comments on Weibo and was speechless about these Martians. Wonderful writing? Is he the author of Book of Life and Death? Oh my god. I'm actually teacher Miyobi. Her Royal Highness is invincible in several industries. A member of the group was found. Some people were shocked, but then they felt it was very normal. After all, Miyobi's painting style has changed a lot. The previous Demon King's contract was exquisite and fleshy, the Suxian series was fresh and refined, and the Book of Life and Death was solid. Obviously, the other party has reached the pinnacle of control over the painting style. But some people also expressed disbelief. After all, how can one person be so amazing? Although the poster does not indicate who the painter is, the poster itself proves that the author is Myobi. I don't know if you have noticed that the analects that the protagonist is reading in the poster is moving with the wind, but the gap in the middle of the page is relatively large. If you use special software to zoom in and see it, you will find that Myobi teacher wrote the two words Myobi in regular script. If you think this is a coincidence, the protagonist Lucien's eyes in the poster are shining with gold. If you look closely, there is a series of subtle Sanskrit in the pupils. These Sanskrit words translate into the two words Myobi. If you still don't believe it, the candle base is covered by books. It is covered, but there are two words meow by faintly visible on the table, but only half of the handwriting is hard to confirm. So if you still don't believe it, look carefully. There is a cloth window next to the protagonist, although only a corner, but because of the air leakage, the protagonist Lucien covered it with paper, and the paper is crooked. Look carefully, is it the two words meow by? I will never play blind monk in League of Legends again. Professional StarCraft players come to learn from me. The strongest king who everyone comes to find fault with. It's so scary, so scary. Please vote and subscribe OVO. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao Bai Shen Wu. Chapter 122. When Lin Jingshu saw this, she couldn't help laughing, and then handed the phone to Susiener for the other party to take a look. Susiener took a closer look and made a sound. There are 15 wonderful strokes drawn on this cover. This person has found 4 or 5, but there are still 10 that he hasn't found yet. What, 15 places? Lin Jingshu was completely shocked, and then she couldn't laugh or cry. I was right next to you when you were painting, why didn't I see it, and why did you paint so many? It's too funny. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow Diamond Suit. Diamond Suit. I added them casually, Susiener said lazily. Don't you know it's boring when you're drawing? So I just added some little Easter eggs. Anyway, she added it very cryptically, so these people probably won't be able to find it. However, Susiener underestimated the perseverance and exploration ability of netizens. Since the strongest king who everyone was looking for trouble found 4 or 5 wonderful pens, it aroused the desire of fans and boring people to explore. They took various software and enlarged pictures to start finding trouble. Obviously I want to see if there are any other Easter eggs. And this search was really discovered by everyone, and they were all shocked that besides 4 or 5 places, there were other places. For example, there is a crack in the dark earth wall behind the protagonist, and there is also a square scarf tied on the protagonist's head. This situation made readers of The Saint even take out the ink painting style to look for it. However, because the ink style is clear at a glance and not as detailed as the cover, Susiener did not mess around. This discovery aroused great interest among fans and netizens. When Tianya Group learned of this situation, it couldn't help but laugh and cry. They promoted it so enthusiastically, and now it seems to be more popular than before because of this incident, but why does it feel like it's a little off track? Is there such a thing? Editor-in-Chief Su of Yuan Group couldn't help laughing when he learned about this situation, but after thinking about it, he said, anyway, the TV series Saint is now popular before it is broadcast. Then the Saint novel should reach another peak, which is a good thing, but we still can't forget our main task. Uexia and others approached Myobi to draw covers, illustrations and design characters. It can only be described as trivial, because their main purpose is to develop a light novel channel. Editor-in-Chief, I have entered the group of Myobi Studio and have negotiated with the artists in the group. However, at this stage they only accept cover designs for light novels, and there is nothing they can do about illustrations. Yu Zhon was truthful. Said, the group seems to be full now. Because they can't contact Miobi, many people have resorted to contacting the artists in the group. In addition, there are only so many artists, so in order to satisfy everyone's needs, if you ask for it, they won't accept large amounts of work. The most important thing is that the artists in the group have to draw a book of life and death every day. Fortunately, they are very familiar with the painting style of Book of Life and Death, and there is no need to color, so they can complete it quickly. Of course, artists are both happy and miserable to have so many people give them work, which means that during their rest time outside of work during the day, they will most likely be painting. But the young artist is very excited, because the extra money he earns these days is much more than the company's salary. As for Yang Shen and Wang Su, they also smiled bitterly. They didn't expect that the studio would be so busy in the few days after it was formed. But the two of them also knew that this was due to the fact that they had just formed and Susiener was too famous. After the first batch of tasks were completed, they would not be so busy after that. So they could only hold their noses and admit it. That's enough, Su Qing heard this and didn't care. Because of Demon King's contract, the light novel channel has attracted the attention of many readers. After all, Demon King's contract has the same cover and illustration style as Saint. Those fantasy fairy tale novels are very different, which means that a large group of people will pay attention to the light novel channel, so even the cover is enough to attract them and keep them occupied. At this point, Su Qing asked, the animation copyright of the Demon King's contract has been taken away by Tencent Animation. When will they make it into animation? Making the Demon King's contract into a drama series was the idea of Zhao Jing when Yu Zhong approached him at that time, and later on. It was also Su Qing's idea that as long as the Demon King's contract was successful, it would mean that light novel adaptations into animations were a way out. Now Demon King's contract is a hit on the light novel channel. Although it is not finished yet, Susiener also said that she will not draw illustrations for this book, but Yu Zhong secretly found the artist in the group and asked them to continue drawing. When the artists, who didn't know that Susiener was angry, learned about this situation, they also expressed that they would continue to help draw the illustrations for the Demon King's contract. Therefore, the book Demon King's Contract is now considered a moderate IP. If it can be made into a painting for a TV series, with that style of painting, it will definitely attract more people and feed back the novel. And can attract more readers. Editor-in-Chief Zhao said that The Devil's Contract and The Book of Life and Death will be broadcast at the same time, Yu Zhong answered honestly, and then continued without waiting for Su Qing to be stunned. He said that The Book of Life and Death and The Devil's Contract are two different styles. The Book of Life and Death is more inclined to serious logical reasoning duel, and the style is solid and serious. Although The Devil's Contract is also a battle type, it cannot withstand scrutiny, so it is considered a harem daily flow. If these two styles are launched at the same time, they will complement each other. As the editor-in-chief of Tencent Animation, Zhao Jing is undoubtedly very experienced. The IQ duel of The Book of Life and Death will make people immersed in it, exciting and tiring. The Devil's Contract is just the opposite. You don't need to use your brain to watch it. Just watch the heroine selling meat. So watching The Book of Life and Death and then watching The Devil's Contract will make people feel a lot more relaxed. Upon learning this, Su Qing nodded slowly. When will The Book of Life and Death be completed and made into a TV series? The TV series has already started production, because the plot of The Book of Life and Death has developed to a certain stage, Yu Zhong said truthfully, so Tencent Animation is also preparing for the animated version of The Contract of the Demon King. If the plan remains unchanged, both animations will be released in January. The Book of Life and Death is a comic that the Animation Administration Bureau saw the rise of the Chinese act circle, and in addition to the strong guarantee, it asks Susiener to complete the book within 2 months, and then make it into an animation, and they will promote it nationwide. B Station learned about this news and naturally began to prepare. Anyway, The animation production staff of B Station had been resting for a long time in the past, and now they finally have work. They are naturally very excited, especially the big IP of the Book of Life and Death, which makes them see the hope of the rise of B Station. While Tencent Animation and B Station are preparing TV series one after another, and they are thriving, Yu Yaokai is now very annoyed. Hey, I'm angry because I don't have any manuscripts saved. I'm late to go home, please recommend and vote OVO.